Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew, and you're listening to Hey, I'm Talkin Here, the podcast where I talk about anything and everything I find interesting. In this episode, we're going to be talking about British panel shows, which I watch religiously. So a British panel show would be something along the lines of QI, or 8 out of 10 Cats, or 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown, or Hypothetical. So those shows, except for Hypothetical, follow the same type of formula where there is a host that is always the exact same, usually at least one guest who's always the exact same, and then a set of celebrities who fill out the rest of the cast. So for QI, there is the host, Sandy. Used to be Stephen Fry as the host, and then Alan Davies, who's always on, and then 3 other guests. For 8 out of 10 Cats, there is the host, Jimmy Carr, the 2 team leaders that change either every series or every couple series, and then 2 guests for each team leader. So for 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown, it's the same. It is Jimmy Carr as the host. 2 team leaders, usually Sean Locke and John Richardson. 2 guests, one with each of them to fill out their team. And then there's Dictionary Corner with Susie Dent and a guest. And then there is Rachel Riley doing the numbers and letters. So then there's Hypothetical, a panel show, but it doesn't follow the same formula. It has 2 hosts, James Acaster and Josh Whitcomb, and then 4 guests, 2 per team. I'll just give you a quick information about what the shows talk about. So QI is short for Quite Interesting, and it asks questions, and then usually there's an answer that everybody knows, like when you smell burnt toast, what does that mean? Oh, that means that you're having a stroke. That's incorrect. That's just false. So they will lose points for that. And then you say, oh, it means the toast is burning. That's the correct answer. There's no sort of anything that makes you smell burnt toast except burning toast. So that person will get points. But if you say, oh, I once smelled burnt toast because of blah, 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 and then have an interesting story, you get extra points for that. So it's very much the right answer that you're thinking of isn't actually the right answer. It's something different. And the more you talk and have stories, the more points you rack up. 8 out of 10 Cats is a show where they poll the audience for interesting news stories that they are talking about in this period. So for the week, and they just talk about, oh, what do you think the news story is that people think? And you say, this one, yep, that's the highest one. And they talk about the news story. Then there's 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown, which is hosted by Jimmy Carr. It is a comedy version of Countdown, which is a more serious version. It would be like comparing Jeopardy and Uh-Oh from YTV, if you remember that old show where they dump slime on you if you got stuff wrong. It's that kind of like, one of them's very serious, one of them not so much. So with 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown, they have the host, Jimmy Carr. He introduces the team leaders and their teammates. They do a little gag kind of joke, and then they bring in their mascots, which is just something where the contestants get to do some of their stand-up and joking skills and whatnot. Then they answer math questions and word scrambles to see who can get the most points. And then whoever wins some sort of funny fake prize type thing. And then there's Hypothetical, which I just discovered, and it's really funny. It is basically the people are given hypothetical questions. If you're transported back in time and you have to become the new Spice Girl, how would you do it? Or how much would it cost for you to wear a puppet on your hand for 1 year? You can't discuss the puppet. You can't explain why you're doing it. It has to say something every conversation you're in, something along those lines. So it really gets you thinking, okay, how much would it cost for me to do this? Or how would I do this? And they usually bring out some sort of prop and act out what has been hypothetically said. So those are just some of the panel shows I watch. I'm not 100% sure when I first started watching them. I've been to England a couple times and Scotland. I don't think I watched them there. I think it was because my grandfather is English. I've always had an interest in English things and such, and TV shows like Doctor Who and all that. So it could have been just like, oh, I'm going to see what kind of English shows I can watch. Oh, hey, look, what are these? These are panel shows. Okay, this is interesting. And then I kind of watched them and got hooked on them. Because I think I've watched those before I went to England, but I didn't watch any of them while I was in England. Because I was too busy sightseeing and stuff, so I didn't really have time for TV to be flicked on. Nope, that is a lie. I think I first watched 8 out of 10 Cats, or 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown, when I was in the hotel at the end of the day when me and my sister were in England for the first time. I flipped it on and I saw it and I was like, wow, this show's pretty interesting. So I think that's where I first got maybe I first saw that one live, but like I've seen re-recordings and whatnot before that. But yeah, so that's how I originally, I think I just became interested in it, and I've watched a bunch of it, and I just find it so much more interesting than like North American panel shows or quiz shows, just because they get away with so much more. Like, I don't know, if I guess we're stricter over here with what can be said and what can be shown and whatnot, but over there it's like it's just a free-for-all. Like, it is like you're having people saying some outlandish things and just doing some crazy sketches and like crazy distracting things. Like Jimmy Carr usually quote unquote gets naked on the show, where it's actually just a stand-in, but you see his like butt and all that kind of stuff, and it's just a very more lax, so it's more like not raunchy, but it has that more like, I don't know, maybe like foreign feel, where it's like, this isn't like what I'm used to watching. So maybe that's why I'm so interested in them, but I just really like them. I like British comedians a lot, like James Acaster. He's really good. Basically anyone who's been on the show is really good. I like Johnny Vegas, Josh Widdicombe. He's funny. All basically people I've learned of from watching the shows, but they just have this very like great sense of humor that I really appreciate and really interests me. So that's why I watch those more, because I'm like, oh, why would I watch Jeopardy when I can watch these people talk about whatever they're talking about and having really funny, better stuff than, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fanboy for England and such. But I watch every time a new episode comes out, I watch it. I just also find like the shows are like, I like doing word scrambles, and I like trying to do the math with 8 out of 10 cats to countdown. That one's really interesting because it engages your brain. I'm like, okay, I got 9 letters here. I have to make the biggest word I can. I've got a 4 and a risky 5. Like, it's very engaging. And math, I kind of just look at and go, those are numbers that may and or may not add up to other numbers. 8 out of 10 cats itself, I kind of just watch because it's usually news that is related to England and such. So I'm just kind of following along. I don't really know what's new over there, so I can't really guess and talk about, or like, and I'm just kind of listening and learning. Hypothetical is cool because it's all just like hypothetical questions, and it really makes me go like, I wonder how much it would cost me, or how much I would have to be paid to do this, or what would I do if I had to be put in this situation. And it's really interesting. And then QI, I'm like, I know this answer, it's blank. Oh, that's wrong. It is not. Everyone thinks it is that, but it's not. It's actually this. Oh, well, I learned something new. So they're all very stimulating in different, like, I guess Jeopardy is, but it's more like, hey, do you know this answer? No? Okay. Hey, do you know this answer? No? Okay. What about this answer? I think I know this answer. Like, I feel the British panel shows are much more engaging, for me at least. But I haven't watched every single quiz show, or what are they called in North America? Like, game shows. That's what they're called, game shows. I haven't watched like a bunch of quiz shows or game shows over here very much. So maybe there are shows like 8 out of 10 cats, 8 out of 10 cats to countdown, QI, hypothetical over here, but I just haven't seen them. That's always an option too. Hello everyone, this is a segment I'm going to be adding into the shows. Eventually, maybe, who knows, sponsors will go here, but as of next episode, near the end of the episode, I will be throwing in a little segment where I just talk about content creators that I find really interesting. I'll just talk about what they do, what I like about them. It could be anybody from a podcaster to a YouTuber to basically anyone, just to say like, hey, I like this person. This is what they do. You can check them out here. And then I'll put a link to their stuff in the show notes, just so I can, show off people that I enjoy as well. And then who knows, maybe sponsors will go in the section, but I will always be shouting out people. I could fill a whole episode talking about content creators, or I could give every single person a little spotlight of their own and then go from there. So look out for next episode, when this will not be an explanation. This will be a shout out to my first content creator. Now, back to the show. Okay, so do I recommend British panel shows? 100%. I love them. If you want to get a taste of what they're about, You can go on Google and type in like 8 out of 10 cats do countdown, best of, or compilations, and you'll get like 45-minute to an hour clips of just hilarious moments that went on the show. So if you want to get your toes wet, that's a great way to do it. Just watch and see if you like it, and then you can try and find a way to watch it. I really suggest watching them. You can also learn about comedians that way and then watch all of their stuff, like I did with James Acaster. I learned about him from that, watch his stuff on Netflix, listened to his podcast, bought his books, just completely just absorbed with all of that. So that's how I also find really good comedians, new comedians to check out, and I can just consume all of their content. So that's how I learned about Richard Ayoade. I think I've seen the IT Crowd before and Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, but I think I originally saw him in Big Fat Quiz of the Year with him and Noel Fielding, I believe it is, on the team, and he was hilarious. Watched a bunch of his stuff, own like his 3 or 4 books. I own them. So that's basically how I discover new comedians to watch. So now I'll leave you off with a final recommendation for a panel show to watch. It follows the same type of setup. So you have the host, 2 team leaders, and then 2 guests on each team leader's sides. It is called Would I Lie to You? It is a panel show where each person has to tell a story. It is either a lie or a truth. And the other side, the other team, has to guess, are they lying to us or are they telling us the truth? Very simple. And then they'll bring on a person and say, how do you know this person? Okay, well, contestant A says he's the person who trims my hedges and he saved my life when I fell in a pool. Person B says he was a driving instructor and failed me 4 times before giving pity on me and finally passing. And the last person would say, oh, it is my great uncle's brother's cousin's husband's son who once played a trick on me and now whatever. And then the other team has to be, okay, who actually knows this person? What kind of, when they tell their story, what kind of facts do they get right? Do they get wrong? Well, not right or wrong, but like what ones seem suspect, what ones seem like they're telling the truth. And then they have to pick, okay, we think person B is the person who knows them. And then they say yes or no. And then that's basically the show. And it's really great, very funny, very interesting. You can find on YouTube lots of best segments, compilations, whatnot of the show. It is really good. So if you take anything from this episode, watch British panel shows, give them a try, and hopefully you like them as much as I do. Anyways, my name is Andrew. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please give us a follow on YouTube or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And until I see you next time, have a great week.